What's going on, YouTube? Time for a recap. Finally back in action here after the nice holiday weekend. We always start on the X here. Feels great to be back, is what I was talking about also on the Twitter and or X rather, right? And we needed some back tests, right? And then we had some opportunity to see a lot of force up. So as we say in the next one, obviously here, no sexy shorts out of the gate. We had no confirmation of one, and we needed tags, and we had complete reversal of mindset and bias. So it was pretty awesome today to see it. So let's go over my trade plans here and how I annoyed my stream today with repeating myself 10,000 times. So we didn't have too much to go off of. When something pushes and opens, right, like SPY today, into all-time highs, you just don't have a whole lot of precursors of data to use, right? We don't have a whole lot going on. So the entirety of the early morning here, we could see on the 1 minute chart being one of the biggest problems with QQQ. And we didn't even get any kind of volume in until about 6 a.m. And that's a pretty normal algo that runs in pre-market. Once 6 a.m. To 6:30 comes in, this is where we start looking at some kind of volume. Once in a great while, we'll get it when the stocks open around 3 a.m. Central. Very few and far between. We are coming in from a holiday weekend, so we just weren't going to be having any kind of great volume to start with. And everything was very slow, very poppy, and very just scam high, which no big deal. Everything pushed to all-time highs. That's actually what we said in our Discord before it happened on the push when we identified it. So we had two different trade plans, and we had a really good opportunity to see backtest here. And let's talk about why it didn't happen. So yesterday, we had last trade day, we had an early close. Early close, obviously, stuff's done by noon my time here, about 12:15. Where you see this giant nasty algo, and it's just usually a low volume squeeze up. So we don't really trade that one on the holiday weekend. Usually just a lot of traders take it off, and they just generally take the extra vacation day, just get out of here. It's no big deal. It's really good to get away from the market sometimes. So the little pull here on Friday, right? And then it just blasted up right through everything. And this is where it gets rare and interesting, because the volume weighted average price in the purple right here was a no tag, right? It opened up, or no back test rather, no confirmation. Same with the 100 EMA and 200, right? So we got tags, obviously, the price action's into that, but you notice the price action breaks through them, never comes back in tags at all for a nice viable support. So longs could get in. It just, we wish that was no problem. That was guaranteed to happen on the Fridays. Force up to all-time high was our call over and over again. We talked about it with the 10 SMA daily. So fast forward to today, and we see pretty obvious low volume tendencies, right? So let's go over to N key right here. You can see that open for the 5 p.m. Sunday night. And man, did it do absolutely nothing. So with that being said, we obviously had a pretty nonchalant setup here, right? And if you pay attention to VWAPs, mostly like me, the volume weighted average price is the only thing I trade off of 90% of the time for after hours. So when you see it, the +2 up here in the orange and the -2 down here in the blue, especially on that 1 minute chart, looks like it makes it very easy to play off of. Generally, I look for low volume sideways action to only interact with one of those legs. So when you see price action dip under the purple VWAP and come into a -2, you can generally see it return to that. It's like a trend, right? Then you see it hit actual VWAP, didn't get above, close to that -2. Actual VWAP, -2. That's a long scenario. Finally breaks out here, not a sandwich double top, right back to the -2 again. And as you can see, anytime it gets an extension close to that in low volume times, not when it's open, right? Not when we're getting the pre-market late, right? Not when we're actually getting awake to trade, but through the night, right? And a lot of times in low volume scenarios, those are really good to use. And when we move into that 6 a.m., and then we've seen the squeeze come up, I had an over-under level, right? So we went for our pre-market breakdowns, and I put a little marker here, 21,024.70. Now, my initial first target was one that we've been talking about for weeks here, and that's our gap that we had at 21,108. Okay. And I said, if we don't get any back test of anything, it just shoots out of the gate, we're going to be an over-under zone right here. If it's above that 21,024, don't just get out of the way. It's straight up. And then I annoyed my chat today, I'm sure, by just saying over and over and over and over and over again all day today. Don't short anything. It's guaranteed upside. It's just going to blow us out of the water. And we could tell that by a few different things. One of my biggest takeaways here for a scam up day where the algorithms take over, they just ride the 10 SMA. Usually on the 5 minute or 1 minute, depending on what happens here, you can see the open. And the open is something that was the biggest kind of precursor to say, hey, we're just going to force up. We have no back test of the 100 EMA. No back test to yesterday's highs, which means there's a gap now on the daily chart right here between 510.34 to 510.62. And now we got a daily gap, right? So we had no 100 EMA tag and not even a VWAP tag. This is day number 2 that we haven't seen that. So that's an extreme rarity. When you see that there's no back test of confirmation, that means things are getting bought up ahead of time in support. The algos are coming in, scooping this stuff up way too fast, and it's not allowing anything to even catch up to hitting, right? So when something gets really close to an institutional level line like volume weighted average price, and you see it not even tag, it can't even get a back test of support, right? And that's what we as confirmation traders look for, an actual test. So she flies out of the gate and it just wung up like this. And I'm like, all right, guys, just don't even touch it. Don't even bother. And I said, it's going 515. And I said that way early before I got off stream. And he said that a whole bunch and pretty much put the guaranteed stamp of approval on. I said, we can short it only back down to the 100 EMA because, again, the open 100 EMA needed a back test on the minute chart. Ran all the way up, shied the 1618, shied the 1618. Why are these important? Price action never came to this 515 area that I called. So that's important because the next time a force up algorithm market finds support, aka the 100 EMA caught up finally, and we preached this all day, probably annoyed everybody with that too, but just wait for stuff to catch up. It's no short, no short, no short. There was a couple little short attempt scalps, but nothing that was going to head us up for anything, which is fine. We're macro. We were 100% long today anyway. We just wanted to dip buy out of the gate and go long into everything else. And I wanted to go long into yesterday's highs or VWAP or 100 EMA 5-minute. Unfortunately, none of those supports actually tagged, and the algos just took this thing and ran with it. Okay, no big deal. There's only one short generally speaking, when these things happen on days like today. And I said it was going to be after 10:30, 11 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. minimum, right? So 11 a.m., we have the Euro close in between 10:30 11, right down here. Okay. And right there, after being the keyword there, I didn't say short at 10:30. I didn't say short at 11. I said after 10:30, 11. You can check our little Discord here. It says wait for the 1 minute to set up a sequence of fresh low. Well, we actually had a really good trade setup, and I finally caught this one at the end before I left here. Was high day, right? Pushed way past our shy, and I said it was coming right back to 515. That's the 15-minute algo. If you're not familiar with that, let me stop real fast. The 15-minute open range is a really good candle to utilize when you're looking for predominantly trend. So if you can't find anything, we got pure force ups when we like a gap up in like today, and we just have a gap and go. Take your first 15-minute candle of the live open, fib it out, and then just watch it, right? So if you can see right here, as we held that 10 SMA perfectly, ripped over that, missed the 1618, came back down, shied VWAP, which is a really, really big tall tail sign. We're going to move back to the 1618, which we did, and then pushed a little bit higher. And of course, we shied the VWAP again. So if you're not used to utilizing just a drop back like that, where you don't have anything to go off of, use the first 15, down or up on the FIPS. They work out very well. So we said after 10:30, 11 is going to be your short. And then we actually got a perfect short setup. We had a gap created on the 1 minute chart here on the Qs. And with that being said, we pushed up here and actually came back after my small break, and I was like, oh, look at it, the gap is right here, you might as well go short. So we had a break in sequence, and what that means is all of these lows to higher highs finally got a breakdown in sequence, right? So it broke into lower low territory from the higher low it was holding on the 10 SMA on that minute chart. So that means we could start looking to the downside, especially with divergence in the indicators, right? Now the 5 minute is what you should be using here, not the 1 minute. So just to be clear on this short trade that we had, I want you to pay attention to that 5 minute divergence. It's going to be much cleaner and more, well, only usable rather than the 1 minute. And you can kind of see how that 10 SMA catch back up happened here, and the loop as well. So on the 5 minute chart, 10 SMA hit, looped, swooped, and pushed up. Very clean. And look at our divergence indicators. Super hot RSI didn't touch the 50, which means it has more room to come back down. 50 point. And then it finally hit highs while putting in a lower high here and a terrible buy wave on the 5 minute chart. The 5 minutes the best for oscillation day trading, in my opinion, RSI and MACD. So once you've seen the crappy wave, the lock, and or the swap, and then the RSI sitting as our lower high, we had an opportunity to go down to the 50 RSI. Right? And then the MACD is the center line there, usually generally support. So the moving averages on the MACD have to make it down to the 0 line because we are in positive territory above the 0 line and obviously negative territory under the zero line, right? So when the moving averages on the MACD actually come down to that zero line, there's usually a temporary bounce of support when the moving averages come into there. Well, kind of lines up with something you notice right there with the VWAP shy, right? So pretty simple stuff. And now the 5-minute chart's the key friend right there for that. Now, what's left for the day is the short that we had on the minute chart that we finally came back down to. And I wanted to get VWAP, and that's what I told the crew. Even in Discord, I drew them a 3-down picture, which means things come as threes in the market. If we get a high right here, we get 1 push down, 2 push down, 3 push down. Didn't make it anywhere near VWAP. Popped back up again, got stuck under the 100 EMA and 200, which is fine, and then again shied the VWAP, right? So that was the really big takeaway here with all the diverging indicators. The 1 minute, unlike the 5-minute, notice on the RSI, we got trapped in the bottom of the channel. In channel trading with the relative strength index on fast time frames like the minute chart is a very important for your trend. A lot of people don't understand this. They don't use it in a 50-50 way like we do for the last 5-6 years here on stream. They only just look at it as oversold, overbought, or tentatively neutral. But you can actually use it as a trend a lot of the times for weakness and strength. So when you see the RSI in a top channel like this, you can assume that there's still a chance to push irrationally at all-time highs, obviously, because that's the psychology moving into today. But the cool part about that is right after 10:30-11, where I said look for the short after 11 a.m., after Euro close, that means the algorithms on this force up that has just been dominating everybody today will hopefully give up. We actually at least have a high percentile chance after 11 a.m. with the Euro close to set those algos away and just kick them to the curb and finally swap trend. Well, we had this big old scam up here at the last part of the morning moving into the afternoon, and we had just that. So if you notice that RSI in that 1 minute broke right after, you know it, 11 a.m., 11:15, 11:30, chopped to the bottom of the channel, and that's where the downtrend, and then snap, and then started holding top channel. Well, look where the reversal point is. Close to the VWAP, RSI, and the RSI is great on the 1 minute. Actually, I wish I could have a 1 minute RSI here and then like a 5 minute. Actually, I know we can do that. I can actually overlap some of these. I have a code for that. So I might do that in the near future. But the 1 minute told a really good story here about the turnaround. The Euro closes were fantastic. We had multiple gaps on the 1 minute chart, which are predominantly great targets if you know what you're doing. We trade these in a very specific way. So I was saying short right here. That was our short zone. And again, 3 down wanted to get the VWAP. And our 3 down, really just the 3 down, only came to here. So we were nowhere near VWAP target. But it did give us one more leg down. And again, just shied it. So what does that bring for tomorrow? Well, this prediction would be kind of easy here because we don't have a golden pocket tag at the first 15, which means price action, generally speaking, likes to come back to the golden pocket. So if you make a fib box right here of the 15-minute, first 15, high-low, right? Your golden pocket's going to be right here between 512.32 to 511.67. And as you can see, we made it to the 1618 and not too much higher than that. And then we just kind of conked out into the all-time highs. So now we have 2 days worth of the 5-minute chart getting kind of scammed on the back test there. So again, we go back to that 5-minute chart, and today we're not going to see any moving averages except for the 10. So the 100 is way down here, 200 is way down here. 666 even farther, and it didn't even hit the VWAP. We don't have a clean tag of the VWAP on the 5-minute chart. It kind of looks like that, but the VWAP, forever calculates. And if the candle is bigger on the 5-minute chart, obviously you're not going to see. You got to dive into that 1 minute and notice that we actually did not get a tag of VWAP there. So as we move into the next day, if we're not FOMO highs, we're just moving all-time highs, kicking it to the upside, well, we're going to find a back test eventually, and it's going to be a really, really good trade. Similar to something like an algo reversal we have after the Euro close, paired up with the RSI in the 1 minute and showing us our indicators that we needed to see intraday, right? So we have an opportunity to come back, and we're going to come back hopefully during live trading. Remember, nothing happens pre-market or after hours that matters for the algos. It's all during that live trading. So we're going to look for that back test of the volume weighted average price. We're going to look for the back test of the 5-minute 100 EMAs for these, and that'll be a great counter trend opportunity. So with that being said, links in the description if you want to trade with us live. We do it every single morning. I think today is our last day. It is 12/2. So Black Friday 2024. You can actually get a discount code to come trade with us. We got 30% off across the board. If that sounds great to you, awesome. We'll see you in chat. If not, we'll see you in the next video. You guys trade safe.